Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushua B'Shem Kodash, and shalom to the hopeful elect out there. And I mean that, the hopeful elect, because the only ones that's going to be delivered are the elect, not all Israel. Our job, the Most High didn't send us down here, set us up as apostles, prophets, teachers, evangelists, whatever you want to label you want to put on us. The Most High sent us. Well, the scriptures, the Apostle Paul said, by the foolishness of preaching. Now, when you look up the word preaching or preach, the word actually means it's a compound word meaning to prophesy. Preach means to prophesy. So the Most High sent down his prophets to prophesy and to initiate, ignite, tap on the head, open up the spiritual eyes to the rest of the elect. Our job is not to, the Most High didn't say, okay, you gotta hit every Israelite out there. Give me a second. Excuse me. Yeah, our job is not to hit every Israelite out there. I saw this one video where you have certain members of the IUIC that are out there in India trying to attempting to wake up Israelites that are scattered in India, which we're scattered all over the world. You know, you can go, one precept come to mind. There's many precepts on that term, on scattered. I mean, look up the word scattered, do a word search on the word scattered in the scriptures. In the Old Testament, you find several scriptures. We were scattered. It said we're going to be gathered. We were scattered in the four winds to the uttermost part of the earth. So absolutely, there Jakes living in what is called India today. But our job is not to do that. Not knocking them, you know, they're out there pushing and grinding. But see, the thing that does a heavy lifting for us is the YouTube. If we didn't have the YouTube, you wouldn't have a bunch of people following you in order for you to go to these other places. What does Matthew what is it? Matthew's 10. Read that whole chapter. It says you should. I'm merely paraphrasing. You should not go over all the cities of Israel until I come. In other words, you ain't gonna hit every Israelite around the world. You need about 2 million, shit, more than that. You need about 20 million prophets that can just scatter themselves all over the place. And that's not gonna happen. All right, but not knocking them, Okay. But anyway, bottom line is this. The Most High created the internet for our sakes. The Most High didn't create it for Alex Jones' sakes. He didn't create it for Geno Jennings' sake. He didn't invent it, or not invent it, but put it in the mind to make Esau come up with, which was Jake. It was a West African Nigerian brother that came up with the whole concept. But it was the powers of the Most High that gave them the technology. Daniel 12. It said knowledge shall be increased. That's technology. Look up the word tech. It's a Greek word that means teach. High tech meaning high teaching. So the Most High set up all the high tech things that we deal with. But anyway, I want to go into this subject. I'm going to make this a short, straight to the point subject. I'll entitle it Acts 7:45 has nothing to do with America. And I'm going to read the precept, and I'm going to give me one more sec. Let me read the precept here. It says, because this is going, there's a new spirit going around that Acts 7:45 is talking about the American captivity, 400 years from what is it, 1619 to 2019, which 19, 20, 21, 22, 22, 22, 23, almost 6 years in, we're almost in 2024. But it's close. Okay, well, let's see how close it is. It says, which 45th verse, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Jesus. The word there is Jesus. Ask any Christian, what does that mean? Any regular Christian that goes to church, they'll tell you about the Jesus, the 12 disciples and Jesus. This is actually Joshua. See, Joshua and Jesus is the same name. So when they translated the book, they should have, anytime you see the word Jesus in the New Testament, the word should be Joshua. And Joshua in the Hebrew is Yahawashai. So when you click on this, on the blue letter, it will take you to, it'll say Yahweh, it'll give you the Greek, Jesus. Then it says it's from the Hebrew, stemmed from the Hebrew. The root word goes back to the Hebrew, and they say it's Yahweh Shawai, and they say that it means Yahweh, Yahweh saves or Yahweh deliver. Doesn't mean that. It means he delivered. Then when you click on it, matter of fact, let me go to it so I can show you. Let me go to the word Jesus. Okay, Jesus. The word is Jesus, and it goes back to H3091, which is Yahweh Shawai, which is wrong. But this is what they tell you. As you come down, where is it? Where is it? It'll give you the Strong's definition. Damn, I had it. Okay, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Strong's definition. No, I got to do it this way. I'm sorry. I got to click on this because that's a Greek. It tells you right here. It says Yahweh Shawai, which is wrong. Strong's and Jessenius Yahweh Shai. Then if you keep reading, it will say Yahweh Shai is Joshua. Joshua, and Jesus is the same name. That's why when they translated it, they should have put the word, anytime you see the word so-called Jesus or Yahweh Shai, should be the word Joshua in the English. Give me one more second. That's why it's important to know the root words. When you deal with the scriptures, it's important to know the root words. Some passages that you read to get the correct understanding, you have to go into the root words. You got certain individuals in Israel that somebody says, oh, well, this scripture says this. And then you go to another scripture to show them that they went off on that scripture, which is good. You can do that. You can do that, precept upon precept. But sometimes things get lost in translation. So sometimes you have to go from one precept to answer another precept. And you also have to deal with the root word. The word is called etymology. Etymology, it means the study of words or the study of the root of a word. And if you claim to be a man of the Lord and a man that knows the scriptures, You have to know the root words. You don't have to speak fluent Greek or fluent Hebrew in order to understand words. And that's with anything. You can go to the English language. But anyway, let me come back over here. This is the point I wanted to get, which also our fathers that came after brought in with Joshua. The word should be Joshua. Guarantee you ask any Christian, I'm not talking about a scholar. A scholar would say, a scholar would most likely say Joshua. But a regular preacher, he'll go into a rant on Jesus. Oh, Jesus, he gathered the 12 into the what? Into the possession of the Gentiles. What does that mean? You ask a Christian that. What does it mean into the possession of the Gentiles? They're going to be lost. It means we were in the wilderness for 40 years, and the land that the Most High gave to us as an inheritance was the land of Canaan, which at that time you had Canaanites living there, the 7 families of the Canaanites, which were called Gentiles, nations, whom the Most High drove out before the face of our fathers unto the day of David. Let me see. Did I go past this? I'm sorry. Give me a second. Okay, let me do it this way. Okay, so you got the word 400. I believe that's one time. Anyway, the 45th verse speaks about how we went into the wilderness for 40 years and that we were given the land of the Gentiles, and it was told to us to kill the Gentiles, kill those particular Gentiles, which happen to be Canaanites, kill them, and that's going to be your land, which is a fulfillment of why Ham was not cursed by his father Noah, but one of his sons, which is Canaan, was cursed. Why? Because Canaan had that land. It said, "A servant of servants shall he be." So you got your servants living in your house like it's yours, like it's theirs. You're gonna either call the cops on them, you're gonna blow them away. So you had servants in our land, and what made it our land? The Most High. It says, "And the Most High spake on this wise, that his seed should sojourn in a strange land." Now that goes back to what? This is Stephen speaking, by the way. Stephen didn't go off. He didn't make no mistakes. He was quoting what is that? Genesis chapter 15. Abraham receiving that vision. The strange land is actually Egypt and not America, and that they should bring them into bondage and entreat them evil 400 years. So now you got certain Israelites that say, well, that's talking about the 400 years of America from 1619 to 2019. That's 400 years. 16, 16, 19, 17, 19, 18, 19, 19, 19, 2019. That's 400 years. Yeah, but brother, we're 6 years in. Here it is. We're not more than less than a year, 7, 8 months to the year 2024. Well, it's close to the 400. Now I'm gonna show you something, and I'm gonna cut it short. So I put in slave from Africa to America between 1525, 1525, 15, and there's some documents that are even earlier than that. 1509, 1510. If you look hard enough. Now, the first slaves that were enslaved among the Israelites were the the some of the Northern Kingdom tribes. It was 500 indigenous people, Israelites, that was taken back in ships to Spain to serve slavery, and they mixed their seed in there. You got a lot of Israelites in Spain. Spain got a lot of flavor. You got a mixture of the Moors. You got a mixture of the Israelites from the Byzantine Empire, so called. You got Israelites that came from the Americas, and that wouldn't stop after Columbus. They used to come to the Americas to get slaves to send them to Spain. Spain was a power point at that time. No longer Italy, Rome. It was a power. Spain was a power point at that time. So we're talking about the Northern Kingdom going back to Europe, but at the same time, you had Europeans, the Portuguese, the Spaniards. Later, you had the Dutch. You had the Rome. You had all those different European groups. That was a big thing. It wasn't no one group. Like who colonized a lot of Africa? The Dutch. Who colonized South Africa? The Dutch. Some African countries were colonized by the French. That's why you got a lot of Africans. They'll speak their language and they'll speak French. Who colonized what is called Haiti? The island of Hispaniola. It was cut in half. One half was called Haiti, the other half was called Santo Domingo. So the Santo Domingo half, the one half was colonized by the Spaniards. That's why they speak Spanish. The other side, which is Haiti, they spoke French because they were colonized by the French. Negroes, Judah, right? In America, what language do we speak? English. Why? Because it was the English that colonized the Americas. So it says here between 1525, and there's some accounts that are even earlier than that. So right there, let's go into the whole 400 years that we were sitting here for 400 years. You're talking 500 years. If you're talking about the 1500s up until now, that's a few years, that's 2 years shy. If we're going by 1525, guess what? That's 2 years shy of 500 years. They said between 1525 and 1866, in the entire history of the slave trade to the New World, the Americas, according to the Transatlantic Slave Trade Database, 12.5 million Americans, which is Jake, were shipped to the New World, the Americas. 10.7 million survived. So you had like approximately 2 million that died in the Middle Passage, survived the dreaded Middle Passage, disembarking in North America, the Caribbean, and South America. So, I mean, I can keep reading. This is a fulfillment of the prophecy of the Israelites going into slavery. This is the last captivity we are going to suffer. After this, we're not going to suffer any captivity under any nation. How long did it take to get slaves from Africa to America? Okay, so they're saying the journey between Africa and the Americas, the Middle Passage, could take 4 to 6 weeks, but the average lasted between 2 and 3 months, chained and crowded with no room to move. Africans or Israelites were forced to make the journey under terrible conditions, naked and lying in filth. So, I mean, you can go to these pull down menu and get all kind of information. Let me look at this one. What did the slaves eat on the ship? On board the ships, slaves were handcuffed and their legs were shackled. They were chained together in groups, and about 50 crammed close together, forced to lie on their sides and often in their own waste. Because you couldn't say, well, I got to go to the bathroom and the eater might come up and take you to. No, you shitted on it. That's why a lot of them died. 2 million of them died. For meals, they were given a stew that contained horse beans, boiled yam, and scraps of meat. That's our food shall be defiled among the Gentiles. So the first experience of our food being defiled among the Gentiles is when you go back to Ezekiel's prophecy. Anyway, with that, I would say shalom. I don't think I got to say any more.